everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Buff Breakdown. So we're 1 week into the brand new event with Khazra drop, and with the release we got 3 buffs, but now another new buff, and you see it right, and the title will probably make this very clear as well, because I just read the buff, and boy, we have OG Alter Ego Beltrillis, yes indeed, and it is an MP buff. They finally did something for her MP, which was always one of the more awkward parts about her. So let's see what we have. So previously, single target quick MP, right? 8 hitter, does some damage, but you might notice, yeah, the first thing it does is damage, right? So when you see the other effects, this is kind of awkward. So after the damage, it removed all buffs from the target, okay? And then also after the damage, on base 10% overcharge, she got 3/3 of quick up for herself, scaling all the way to 30%. Now obviously, both of them you would definitely want to have before damage. One, she's a quick servant and her MP is quick, so this is more gains, damage, stars, and everything. This would make a, this would help with everything basically with the MP. And then the other thing you really wanted before the damage was the buff removal, because obviously this is not just like offensive buff removal, and in that case it would be kind of okay for it to be after damage, because it doesn't really matter for the damage of the MP. But if the enemy happens to have stuff like, defense up, dodge, invul, anything that would either prevent your MP from doing damage or make you do less damage, you always want to clear those if possible, right? So both of these happening after the damage was always just super awkward, okay? And the MP itself wasn't the most damaging thing ever. She can actually hit fairly hard, but it still wasn't really even all that like insane. If anything, I think her crits were like the main way of her DPSing prior to this buff. So let's see what they changed. The funny part is no new line was added, okay? So that's an interesting way to do a modern MP buff. In fact, they did, in my opinion, a way better thing. If you see the order of operations now, you might know what I'm talking about, because now both of the effects of buff strip from the enemy and the 3-turn quick up for herself from the overcharge, they happen before damage. This is very cool. I'm not sure. I think there has been some MPs in the past where order of operations has been shifted, namely for instant kill MPs, like a year or 2 ago or so was a thing for some of them. But this is one that really benefited from it, okay? Now again, no new lines were added. The only thing they did was shift these two. Even the quick up is still the same number. The only number that got up, obviously, is the damage of the MP, because every, MP upgrade for a damaging MP gives you the standard upgrade, unless you're like Media or something, but I digress. Anyway, standard damage upgrade, okay? Very cool. But yeah, it's basically all it needed. It needed more damage, and it needed these to be first, and that's a perfect buff in my opinion. I'm honestly kind of glad they didn't add any new lines, because with this, she's already going to be so much better. Like, it's quite night and day, I would say. Now, obviously, not every boss these days lets you, purge buffs. Of course, there's a lot of bosses out there that have, boxed buffs, aka unremovable buffs. But usually, at least skill buffs gained from skills of the bosses, they tend to always be removable. And a lot of those can be like defense ups, evades, invuls, guts, you name it. So for this to be now here is just so nice to have. And again, it's not just for the defense buffs. Again, it still removes offense too, so keep that in mind. This is exactly what she needed. So on our extra part 2 tier list this year, which included Alter Ego, we had her on an A+, which I believe we discussed a lot about, but after some back and forth we settled with A+, which is still a very high rating, okay? But with this, hey, she can join Bazette in the single target Alter Ego top tier servant. Yes, I said it. I'm pretty confident with this. I think that was the only thing that she was kind of awkward with. Now, there's not really anything bad about her. So I will just claim her as a top tier single target DPS now. So rejoice, belt fads. Wow. Yeah, just what the doctor ordered. I keep repeating myself, but this is a great buff. So if you enjoyed this buff breakdown, do be a solid and click the thumbs up button on this video. It really helps out. Of course, do subscribe not to miss out on future videos as well, including buff breakdowns. I'll always post these as soon as we get new info, of course. And shout out to my lovely patrons on the screen right now in suit for being a big YouTube member tier. And with that, I hope to see you in the next video. Take care and bye bye.